northwest side. P7 AGG, W7 WFP. So now we got an eruption down here. Now we got a big slide coming off. The slide is coming off of the west slope. Now we got a whole big eruption out of the crater. And we got another open up on the west side. The whole west side, northwest side is right down. Keep on, Derek.
May 18th, 1980. That's the day a volcano in my backyard blew up. Now, if we look outside here, right, well, it's too cloudy, which is typical every winter day in the Northwest. But on a clear day, I can see Mount St. Helens out my back window here. So I decided to make a map of Mount St. Helens. Now, Esri cartographer Ken Field hates rainbow-colored maps. And also, Esri cartographer Alan Carroll once told me, whatever color scheme you're using, it's too bright. So I'm going to make a map that's rainbow-colored and too bright, but I think it works. A little piece of abstract art of Mount St. Helens. So let's take a look at a layer cake of Mount St. Helens. This is Carto-Madness. Okay, let's get this show on the road with a fresh copy of ArcPRO. And once that's open, we have to add a little bit of data. And so we'll go to our catalog pane and go to the bottomless pit of cool data, the living atlas, and type terrain. And look for our terrain DEM, which we used before in our Crater Lake video. And so let's use it again here. So if we add it to our map, then it comes in, and I've added a bookmark to the Mount St. Helens area right here. And so what we want to get now is our National Monument boundary. And so let's go to Google and use our Google foo and type Esri Mount St. Helens overview and come up with this one on ArcGIS Online. And let's just open it in the map viewer here and make sure it's what we're looking at. Oh, that looks pretty good. Look at that terrain. That looks very vibrant. Well, that's beside the point. Here's our National Monument boundary. So let's go ahead and steal that or borrow that by clicking Park Boundary and going to here and saying copy the URL back to our map and add from path. And if we add that from path, you can see that it comes in just as we had hoped. Beautiful. Okay. So let's clip this DEM. We don't want the whole planet in our DEM, but let's just clip out the square, the piece that we want. So if we position it just about where we like it, don't need the whole monument boundary. We'll just use that much. So we'll go ahead and go to Export Raster, and we'll export that raster, quickly giving it a name. And we will use our clipping geometry of our display extent. And as we found out before, Esri likes only 5,000 columns by 5,000 rows. So we'll go type 4,999 into here. And everything looks pretty good. And so, okay, let's export. And we'll export that. And if we zoom out and turn off our original terrain, okay, that's what we want, almost what we want. But we want only that DEM that falls within the monument boundary. So let's go a second clipping layer, go to our analysis tools, and over here we can type clip raster. And we'll select that, and we set it up by adding the one and only raster we have in our project, and the output extent is going to be our boundary. Everything else looks good, but we have to check this and let that run. We will see as it comes in. Yep, that we now have. Turn off our original DM. Now we have what we were looking for. Okay. So we have a DEM of the Mount St. Helens National Monument. And so let's go here and now let's type contour so we can create our contour polygons. So our raster is our clip raster, and our feature class, we'll give that a new name as well. And I'm sure it will be, let's see, let's make it something really original. Let's call it, once we get to it, let's call that contour polys 3 in this case. Yeah, perfect. Very descriptive. And our contour interval is 100 feet. Base contour is fine at being 0, and our Z factor, let's say 2. Let's double that up a little bit. And say contour polygons. We're going to make contour polygons. So let's run that. And once that runs, you can see it comes in as the wonderful out-of-the-box Esri color ramp that I really am not all that fond of. So we're going to change that. But if we zoom in and we ID one of these, we can see that we now have cool polygons for all of the contours. We have contour max, contour min, and we can see it they're 100 feet apart. Perfect. So I previously made a contour ramp or a color ramp that I liked. But since this is abstract, let's go ahead and go to symbology and let's select something that might end up being kind of abstract. So let's look at this. How about this blue one? And yeah, yikes, that is abstract, but it's not what I have in my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make our own. As I said, I previously made one, but we'll go through it here quickly and make this a continuous color scheme. And we'll add, about 4 stops here. Distribute them semi-evenly by eye. And we'll go ahead and we will add these colors that I previously determined by trial and error. And that one's a little kind of a steel color. Next one, put it in here. Make sure it's the right one. This stop, yes, okay. And we will paste that color in there. And these colors are just on a Word document on my other screen, in case you're wondering. So we'll go here and add this one. And positions as well. And just go through, change these. And encourage everybody to experiment on your own and build something that looks good to your eye. But this one looks good to me for this project. And we'll go ahead and do our last but not least, yeah, that one, let's move that to about 90-ish. Yeah. And our last color, don't want it to be purple. Go ahead and make that selected. And go ahead and add that color of those. And I like it. That's the one I like. I actually saved that to style before, so I encourage you to do the same. Go ahead and now let's convert that to a local scene. And once we have our local scene, I'm going to zoom in and tilt this a little bit and can see that we have some cool 3D-ness to our map. And that's all well and good, but we're not going to stop there because we can monkey with it some more. If we go to feature layer, and this is where the magic happens, go to extrusion and type max height and contour maximum here. And in feet, And this takes a little bit of horsepower, so we have to wait.
Well, we're waiting.
Yes. Thank you, Judge Snails. And once it does come in, we can zoom in and ooh, nice. Comes in as a cool layer. Of contours, of elevation. Beautiful. Okay. So now let's go ahead and look with our properties a little bit here. And illumination. So we're going to add some sun shadows to this just for fun, just because we can, right? So we'll say display in 3D. And we will say the date and time is the time of this recording right now. And you can change that, of course. And we will change our light contribution to, let's knock that down to 25 and see what happens. Let's apply and, oh, well, that looks cool. Maybe it's a little bit more than I want, so let's put that contribution back up a little bit to 50. That's better. Now we got some cool shadows. Looking better all the time, right? So let's add a layout. And we go ahead and add our map to our layout. All right. And so let's go ahead and activate that and change our altitude to, let's 45,000 feet. And that's a better scale for what I'm wanting to do. So let's scoot this a little bit, and this takes a little bit of patience because this kind of tries to redraw a lot. So move it, there we go. And so we'll scoot it and tilt it. And this is just, of course, a matter of taste. And you can monkey with this forever and still not get it quite right. But we'll go with this for now. So let's add a vignette, because a great cartographer once told me, if you add a vignette, it just makes it a little cooler. So I will take his advice and let's add that quickly, just for fun. And we're going to make that a gradient fill and circular. And of course continue 100%. And flip it, and okay, well, that's backwards, so let's flip it back and play with our gradient a little bit, just because it's so fun to do. And let's make this black and about 70% transparent or so. 74, yeah. And black again, a little more transparent, 100. And the next one is black and 100. And that position a little closer to the left. And the last one is black and 100%. And we will get a cool vignette. All right? Subtle but effective. So I don't like this in here. I thought I would, but I didn't decide I didn't. So let's go ahead and get the properties of our elevation surface layer and turn that background from white to black. And now that's a little better.
How much more black could this be? And the answer is none. None
Is that good?
more black.
So let's activate this and do a little more scooting. And get our 45,000 elevation in there again. And I think we have a good layout now. So let's start adding a little bit of text. And I went out and I found a cool font, and I usually go with Century Gothic for this sort of thing, but I decided let's go with something a little more antique-y some more. I found this one, and a little more vintage, yeah. And so we'll turn that to white, just for the moment, so we can see it. Yep. And since it's just another polygon, let's play around with the polygon, right? So let's make this a gradient fill and go from like a ice blue, a white to an ice blue. I think I want it a little more. Let's zoom in a little bit and see. Okay, a little blue on the top. So let's make that ice blue a little icier, just a little bit. Pull that in, and then change the transparency down there. Cool, that's way better. So let's just copy this. Well, I think, let's see, that might end up being too big. So let's go ahead and change the size of it to, that's better, yeah. And now let's copy. The rest is copy and paste and moving around. This and Helens, and let's change, just keep this, housekeeping is important. And let's copy this one more time and change that to Saint. Smaller, good, scoot it. This is pretty basic stuff, right? Okay. Let's, yeah, there we go. We can select them all, we can align them by center and then distribute them horizontally. So it kind of makes sense. And group it up into a group. And once that's done, let's copy this one more time. And goes down here. And let's add our elevations just for information. Fill up some space if it's a little too small. There we go. Well, let's go here. Yeah. Let's move that up there. Looking good. Let's add a couple of margins here just to make sure we are within our print margins. More housekeeping. And now let's do just a couple labels here. In this one, we're going to say this is the summit. And we're going to add a little leader line down to the summit, the peak, the current peak of Mount St. Helens. Current since May of 1980. And let's add like a little dot at the end. A blue dot. Oh, not both ends. Let's change the width of that line just a little bit. Yeah, make it a gradient. Okay. And at the end, the other end, there we go. Okay. And let's play with the gradient just a little bit. I think that's probably okay. Blue dot, just a more of a similar color. And the rest, yeah, I'm going to put on a few other labels here. And once I do that, here's our finished product. We have a very cool slab contour layer piece of abstract art of Mount St. Helens. Tell me what you think in the comments. Comments are always appreciated. So like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff. Appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.